This is Part One, Chapter 4 of A Double-Barreled Detective Story. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A Double-Barreled Detective Story by Mark Twain. Part One, Chapter 4. No real gentleman will tell the naked truth in the presence of ladies. It was a crisp and spicy morning in early October. The lilacs and laburnums, lit with the glory fires of autumn, hung burning and flashing in the upper air, a fairy bridge provided by kind nature for the wingless wild things that have their homes in the tree-tops and would visit together. The larch and the pomegranate flung their purple and yellow flames in brilliant broad splashes along the slanting sweep of the woodland. The sensuous fragrance of innumerable deciduous flowers rose upon the swooning atmosphere. Far in the empty sky a solitary esophagus slept upon motionless wing. Everywhere brooded stillness, serenity, and the peace of God. October is the time, 1900. Hope Canyon is the place, a silver mining camp away down in the Esmeralda region. It is a secluded spot, high and remote, recent as to discovery, thought by its occupants to be rich in metal. A year or two's prospecting will decide that matter one way or the other. For inhabitants, the camp has about 200 miners, one white woman and child, several Chinese washermen, 5 squaws, and a dozen vagrant buck Indians in rabbit-skin robes, battered plug hats, and tin-can necklaces. There are no mills as yet, there is no church, no newspaper. The camp has existed but 2 years. It has made no big strike. The world is ignorant of its name and place. On both sides of the canyon the mountains rise wall-like, 3,000 feet, and the long spiral of straggling huts down in its narrow bottom gets a kiss from the sun only once a day, when he sails over at noon. The village is a couple of miles long. The cabins stand well apart from each other. The tavern is the only frame house, the only house, one might say. It occupies a central position, and is the evening resort of the population. They drink there, and play 7-up and dominoes; also billiards, for there is a table, crossed all over with torn places repaired with court plaster. There are some cues, but no leathers; some chipped balls, which clatter when they run, and do not slow up gradually, but stop suddenly and sit down. There is part of a cube of chalk, with a projecting jag of flint in it, and the man who can score 6 on a single break can set up the drinks at the bar's expense. Flint Buckner's cabin was the last one of the village going south. His silver claim was at the other end of the village, northward, and a little beyond the last hut in that direction. He was a sour creature, unsociable, and had no companionships. People who had tried to get acquainted with him had regretted it and dropped him. His history was not known. Some believed that Sammy Hillyer knew it, others said no. If asked, Hillyer said no, he was not acquainted with it. Flint had a meek English youth of 16 or 17 with him, whom he treated roughly, both in public and in private; and of course this lad was applied to for information, but with no success. Fetlock Jones, name of the youth, said that Flint picked him up on a prospecting tramp, and as he had neither home nor friends in America, he had found it wise to stay and take Buckner's hard usage for the sake of the salary, which was bacon and beans. Further than this he could offer no testimony. Fetlock had been in this slavery for a month now, and under his meek exterior he was slowly consuming to a cinder with the insults and humiliations which his master had put upon him. For the meek suffer bitterly from these hurts, more bitterly perhaps than do the manlier sort, who can burst out and get relief with words or blows when the limit of endurance has been reached. Good-hearted people wanted to help Fetlock out of his trouble, and tried to get him to leave Buckner, but the boy showed fright at the thought, and said he dasn't. Pat Riley urged him, and said, "You leave the damned hunks and come with me. Don't you be afraid, I'll take care of him." The boy thanked him with tears in his eyes, but shuddered and said he dasn't risk it. He said Flint would catch him alone some time in the night, and then, "Oh, it makes me sick, Mr. Riley, to think of it." Others said, "Run away from him. We'll stake you. Skip out for the coast some night." But all these suggestions failed. He said Flint would hunt him down and fetch him back just for meanness. The people could not understand this. The boy's miseries went steadily on week after week. It is quite likely that the people would have understood if they had known how he was employing his spare time. He slept in an out-cabin near Flint's, and there, nights, he nursed his bruises and his humiliations, and studied over a single problem: how he could murder Flint Buckner and not be found out. It was the only joy he had in life. These hours were the only ones in the 24 which he looked forward to with eagerness and spent in happiness. He thought of poison. No, that would not serve. The inquest would reveal where it was procured and who had procured it. He thought of a shot in the back in a lonely place when Flint would be homeward bound at midnight, his unvarying hour for the trip. No, somebody might be near and catch him. He thought of stabbing him in his sleep. No, he might strike an inefficient blow, and Flint would seize him. He examined 100 different ways. None of them would answer, for in even the very obscurest and secretest of them there was always the fatal defect of a risk, a chance, a possibility that he might be found out. He would have none of that. But he was patient, endlessly patient. There was no hurry, he said to himself. He would never leave Flint till he left him a corpse. There was no hurry. He would find the way. It was somewhere, and he would endure shame and pain and misery until he found it. Yes, somewhere there was a way which would leave not a trace, not even the faintest clue to the murderer. There was no hurry. He would find that way, and then, oh, then, it would just be good to be alive. Meantime he would diligently keep up his reputation for meekness. And also, as always theretofore, he would allow no one to hear him say a resentful or offensive thing about his oppressor. 2 days before the before-mentioned October morning, Flint had bought some things, and he and Fetlock had brought them home to Flint's cabin: a fresh box of candles, which they put in the corner; a tin can of blasting powder, which they placed upon a candle-box; a keg of blasting powder, which they placed under Flint's bunk; a huge coil of fuse, which they hung on a peg. Fetlock reasoned that Flint's mining operations had outgrown the pick, and that blasting was about to begin now. He had seen blasting done, and he had a notion of the process, but he had never helped in it. His conjecture was right. Blasting time had come. In the morning the pair carried fuse, drills, and the powder can to the shaft. It was now 8 feet deep, and to get into it and out of it a short ladder was used. They descended, and by command Fetlock held the drill, without any instruction as to the right way to hold it, and Flint proceeded to strike. The sledge came down. The drill sprang out of Fetlock's hand almost as a matter of course. "You mangy son of a nigger! Is that any way to hold a drill? Pick it up! Stand it up! There, hold fast! Damn you! I'll teach you!" At the end of an hour the drilling was finished. "Now then, charge it!" The boy started to pour in the powder. "Idiot!" A heavy bat on the jaw laid the lad out. "Get up! You can't lie sniveling there. Now then, stick in the fuse first. Now put in the powder. Hold on, hold on! Are you going to fill the hole all up? Of all the sap-headed milksops, put in some dirt. Put in some gravel. Tamp it down. Hold on, hold on! Oh, great Scott, get out of the way!" He snatched the iron and tamped the charge himself, meantime cursing and blaspheming like a fiend. Then he fired the fuse, climbing out of the shaft, and ran 50 yards away, Fetlock following. They stood waiting a few minutes, then a great volume of smoke and rocks burst high into the air with a thunderous explosion. After a little there was a shower of descending stones. Then all was serene again. "I wish to God you'd been in it," remarked the master. They went down the shaft, cleaned it out, drilled another hole, and put in another charge. "Look here, how much fuse are you proposing to waste? Don't you know how to time a fuse?" "No, sir." "You don't? Well, if you don't beat anything I ever saw." He climbed out of the shaft and spoke down. "Well, idiot, are you going to be all day? Cut the fuse and light it." The trembling creature began. "If you please, sir, I—" "You talk back to me! Cut it and light it!" The boy cut and lit.